Lester, who police say lived near the family's Roswell apartment, is now in custody after new DNA evidence has allegedly linked him to the crime. Our Paulo Suro spoke exclusively to a neighbor who says that although Joshua was found beaten and strangled in the woods 33 years ago, the community never lost hope.
It's right down here.
On this rainy Friday,
Really in a nice spot.
Alan B. Goodwin wanted to visit Joshua Harmon's memorial.
Here it is.
Upon hearing that a suspect was arrested Wednesday in connection to the 8-year-old's murder 33 years ago.
You never lose hope that the case might be solved, but I was not holding my breath.
That suspect, police say, is James Coates, a convicted child molester who lived in Joshua's same apartment complex at the time.
The neighborhood was quite on edge for the 2 days during the search.
Goodwin says he also lived in the vicinity that year.
It just seemed out of place and out of character for the neighborhood, and somewhat chilling. So many unknowns. A terrible murderer is on the loose. You start locking your doors and feeling concerned for yourself.
Joshua's body was exhumed earlier this year. Police say new technology matched DNA to the suspect, who had already served time in Georgia for child molestation.
We never forgot his name.
Goodwin followed the case closely as a neighbor, but also as a father of two. He says Joshua's mother, Sherry, who passed away along the years, did not know him, but made a profound impact on his life.
I told her that I hope she took some small comfort in knowing that her tragedy had actually strengthened our family. It offered us strength in trying times with our own sons. I wish that Sherry Harmon could have lived to have seen this justice come.
Coates, who was arrested during a traffic stop while in the back of an Uber, faces several charges. He's being held in Fulton County Jail without bond.
Thanks, Paolo.